The AP reminds us, if we'll look back at a shocking moment in the sharing of U.S. gathered intelligence, utterly shocking. Of course, I'm talking about Pete Hegseth. Well, no, actually, I'm talking about an investigation into the unauthorized release of classified documents on Israel's Iran attack plan done purposely by an employee who was not loyal to the United States of America, but loyal to, well, probably Hamas. Now, that was shocking, except it's forgotten in history. It's way back in history. It was intentional, and it's treated as, well, just like Pete Hegseth, except Pete Hegseth, of course, must resign. Because if he made the mistake, and that's questionable if he made the mistake, because now you have people who are involved in this conversation saying, oh, wait, no one in our group added him. And maybe they're lying. I mean, it would be an embarrassing mistake to have a so-called journalist observing a conversation about detailed war plans. You know, things like where the troops are going to be placed, the weapons they're going to use, the timing, the troop count, the troop capabilities, detailed war plans. That would be really, really bad. And that's what we're told by The Atlantic happened, that the journalist got in, this Jeffrey Goldberg guy got in, and he got to see these detailed war plans. Now, Jeffrey Goldberg's a guy who's interesting. He's been involved in every significant Russia, Trump is a Russia asset hoax. He's helped to get some of these things rolling. So how interesting that he was the guy who got added to this chat. There's been people in Trump land saying, look, you don't get it again. This is once again multi-layered chess. This is President Trump using this guy. It's Hegseth using this guy so that they can show that the United States really is sick and tired of bailing out Europe. And that was some of the conversation that did happen. They've admitted the conversation is genuine, that it happened on the Signal app. The Trump administration has said, yep, that was the conversation. The conversation I've seen is people saying, look, I'm really reluctant to bail out Europe. They need to start carrying their own water, but we have to do this. We're the only ones who can do it. Well, but the battle plans, I mean, that's what we were told. So Jeffrey Goldberg went on to a podcast and decided to discuss these very serious battle plans, you know, the details of troop commitment, number of troops, capability, timing of attack, which weapons they're going to use. Are they going to have a QRF? Are they going to have a quick response force? Are they going to have battleship backup, drone backup? So he went into detail about all these detailed war plans that he saw.
Now the Secretary of Defense and the White House press secretary have said you're lying, have said there are no war plans there, have said there's no classified information. So the obvious question is, shouldn't you now demonstrate it? Shouldn't you publish the text?
No, because they're wrong. They're wrong.
But how can you prove that you're wrong? Maybe should you provide them to the House and Senate special committees on intelligence? Maybe. I don't know.
Wow. Well, you want to become my lawyer?
I'm throwing this out there, Jeff. I don't know. I mean, look. The White House press secretary an hour ago said
I feel like no. I mean, I obviously. Let me just put it this way: my colleagues and I, and the advice that and the people who are giving us advice on this have some interesting conversations to have about this.
Yeah.
But just because they're irresponsible with material doesn't mean that I'm going to be irresponsible with this material. And you know what? I could, whatever. I mean, you've had a long history as I have with dealing with them. And at moments like this, when they're under pressure because they've been caught with their hand in the cookie jar or whatever, you know, they will just literally say anything to get out of the moment, to get out of the jam. And that's okay. I get it. I get the defensive reaction. And but here's the thing. My obligation, I feel, is to the idea that we take.
Yeah, I think you get it. So you're not going to give it to the Senate's Oversight Committee, to the Intelligence Committee, even though, of course, all of them have proper security clearance. You're not going to give it to the Democrats in the committee who hate President Trump as much as you do? You haven't already provided that to them? Maybe you're going to do the drip, drip, drip thing. But maybe Adam Schiff should just demand this stuff. Demand it from him. Maybe the Republicans should subpoena him. The Atlantic has been involved in every significant hoax against President Trump, the suppressing of information about Hunter Biden, the suppressing of information about the dementia of Joe Biden. They are an Inside the Beltway publication, and you do not get to have permission to believe that they didn't know that Joe Biden was severely demented. Yet they wrote articles about him being the best Biden ever, that he's crisp and he's sharp, he's a magnificent leader. But the intel, not even going to share it with the Democrats. Goldberg had another statement he made. And again, this is the guy who's responsible for merchandising a lot of the hoaxes we see. And I'll play that for you in just a second, complete with the corruption. He's an Inside the Beltway guy. He's an Acela Corridor guy, New York City to D.C. guy. They live in a different universe. Now we're starting to see them having to wake up to reality. Department of Education employees facing unemployment for the first time probably in their lives. And I don't wish that upon human beings. That would be rude. It would be wrong. It would be unchristian-like. But I do like the fact that they're seeing the world they've created for others. They're created for a world for us where our retirement right now, you're 5, you're 10, 15 years from retirement, it hangs in the balance. If we win back our fiscal sanity, if we win back the position of being the dominant energy exporter, if we win back the position of not wasting our money in massive amounts of fraud, if we win that back, our retirement accounts changed. If they win, our retirement accounts change, unless you're using the right retirement advisor. Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer, Bulwark Capital Management, knows how to make money from volatility. He actively manages every portfolio which can reduce risk and volatility. And Zach has been clear-eyed and open about the corruption of our money system forever. Have him take a look at your retirement portfolio. He'll do it for free with no obligation whatsoever. Just go to knowyourriskradio.com. Sign up for a free, no obligation review of your retirement portfolio with you and your spouse, or just you if that's the way things are. Go to knowyourriskradio.com. That's knowyourriskradio.com. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 25-137. Jeffrey Goldberg, guy who gave us the Atlantic story about these detailed war plans. The same plans he hasn't provided to the Democrats on the Intelligence Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, because he's going to be responsible with them, because the giving of these to United States senators who have the proper security clearance is irresponsible? Got it. He shared some other thoughts.
Responsible here and not disclose the things that I read and saw. I will describe them to you. The specific time of a future attack, specific targets.
This is so carefully worded. And he's talking with Jen Psaki, who's a deep state operative, who had already agreed to an employment deal with MSNBC while she was still lying for the figurehead. A specific attack in the future. This one, really interesting, very carefully worded, and he continues, Jeffrey Goldberg with The Atlantic.
Human targets meant to be killed in that attack, weapon systems, even weather reports, or, that the government is I don't know why Hegseth was sharing it with everybody. I mean, the precise detail of, and then a long section on sequencing. This is going to happen. Then that is going to happen. After that happens, this happens. Then that happens. And
so this, that, and the other thing happened. So just provide it to the Armed Services Committee. Just give it to the Democrats. Wouldn't they love to show this? Maybe again, it's drip, drip, drip. Now, of course, the demand from people like Pete Buttigieg, that Pete Hegseth step down. Pete Buttigieg, who had about $8 billion to build charging stations for electric cars, the ones that serve Satan, the Teslas. And they didn't build, 10? Is demanding a resignation? Hillary Clinton spoke into this about the sharing of classified information with this guy getting on a Signal app. Mike Davis was involved in these conversations, and Mike Davis spoke to Fox News, and he says some tech experts have some work to do. And he said this to Fox News about some forensic tech to see how this guy got involved in these conversations.
We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened. But I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists. And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone, and we're going to figure out how this happened.
So you don't know.
So if he's telling the truth, that should be easy to figure out. He should offer up his phone. And maybe it's not Elon's team that does this. Maybe Elon hires us out so we can all figure out how he got on here. But let me ask you this question. Do you actually think that the CIA couldn't plant this guy into these chats? And again, I'm not here to excuse this. Maybe it was a stupid mistake. And if so, admit it was a stupid mistake. But the CIA is more than capable of cracking into a signal discussion and putting someone into this. It happens that just a day before this was occurring, for some reason, there was a discussion of the Signal app being proper in the Senate. They had a debate about this. Should people be using the Signal app? That's really interesting timing, isn't it? That just a day ahead of this stuff being discussed and discovered, hey, should people be using Signal? Oh, no, it's a horrible app. Timing is interesting. Often there's no coincidences in politics. This also comes right at the moment that President Trump was declassifying all of the Crossfire Hurricane stuff. Crossfire Hurricane, of course, was an illegal use of the intelligence services to spy on a presidential campaign. It was started with a fake bit of research, black ops research from Hillary Clinton's team, run through the disgraced so-called law firm Perkins Coie, who, by the way, it seems their lawyers had access to what? Classified information. Tons of it. And here is President Trump declassifying the Crossfire Hurricane documents about the same time as all of a sudden a journalist appears on a chat on Signal with Pete Hegseth and the VP and others.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This was obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement powers of prosecution against you and others. We believe that it's long past time for the American people to have a full and complete understanding of what exactly is in those files.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see.
They probably won't bother. Right now they're not because, hey, look, all the oxygen's taken out of the room by the Pete Hegseth affair. So these documents are now open, and it was a demonstrable lie to the FISA community. It was demonstrable black ops, Alpo, through Hillary that was a lie, filtered through a law firm that lied. There are lawyers apparently lied. They lied about the nature of the billing, etc. And yet when this piece came out from The Atlantic, the Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. Hillary Clinton responded, "You've got to be kidding me." If this was an accident, then it pales in comparison to Hillary Clinton making plans to violate FOIA regulations by having a home-brewed, unsecured server in her house and doing things like sending to Anthony Weiner classified documents. He was a known pervert, so that he could show them to his wife. It also pales in comparison to Hillary Clinton telling people to remove the classified markings from a document and resending it to her since she was on an unsecure line. All of those were national security felonies. But it turns out that the FBI and DOJ were ordered by Barack Obama to not pursue charges against her. Remember that whole thing about the independence of the judiciary and the DOJ?
Door testimony last summer, former FBI lawyer Lisa Page said the Obama administration's Justice Department advised the FBI not to pursue the gross negligence statute for Hillary Clinton in the mishandling of classified information. Former U.S. Attorney and House Republican John Ratcliffe led the line of questioning about the statute, known as 18 U.S.C. 793. Ratcliffe, you're making it sound like it was the department that told you you're not going to charge gross negligence because we're the prosecutors. Page interrupted. That is correct. Page's testimony appears to conflict with then FBI Director James Comey's recommendation in July 2016 against criminal charges for Clinton.
What I can assure the American people is that this investigation was done honestly, competently, and independently. No outside influence of any kind was brought to bear.
Interesting. All the timing beginning to add up. But I mentioned this thing about the Signal app. Should that be allowed? This hearing occurred just before we learned about a journalist supposedly being in a Signal discussion. This is CIA Director John Ratcliffe speaking.
So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director
Signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Director Ratcliffe.
How fascinating, isn't it? A Russia hoaxer, a Biden is solid mentally hoaxer, the Atlantic that's done everything it can to take President Trump down, round one, round two, is suddenly involved in a chat. And if it's a mistake, they should just admit it, because it pales in comparison to the rigging of the American mind through censorship and through not charging Hillary Clinton the 140 to 150 some national security felonies that she committed. God tells us not to lord our power over others. They should take that advice.